it took us close to 24 hours to get there. We had to fly to Anchorage, Alaska for refueling. Then we had to fly to Japan for refueling. And so when we finally got to Pyongyang, it was, I think, 6:30 in the morning there. There was a welcoming group of senior North Korean officials, and they shook hands with Secretary Pompeo, and he got into a stretch Mercedes limousine, and we went directly to the Koryo Hotel, which is where a lot of foreigners do, and they immediately had a suite of rooms available for Secretary Pompeo, and they had rooms for his staff. For Matt and me, we went down to the lobby, which is where we spent the next 10 hours. You can't leave the hotel perimeter without a government escort. He came back at 5:30, and as he was walking towards the elevator, Matt and I sort of waylaid him and asked him if he had any assurances or any expectations there would be good news coming that evening. And he didn't say anything, he just crossed his fingers and looked at us and smiled. Then in about 15 minutes, a State Department official came down again and told us that 2 Korean officials had come over and told the secretary that a decision had been made to grant a special amnesty to the 3 Korean American prisoners, that this had been a very difficult decision for them to make, but at 7 o'clock they would be released to Secretary Pompeo. And we went back to the plane, and we sat in the plane and sat on the plane and waited. I sat by a window seat, and so at 8:25 I look out, and I can see a silhouette, a shadow. There's a dark van that pulls out, and I can see the silhouettes of 3 or 4 men get out and walk to the plane. We had been told at that point that we would not be given the opportunity to speak with them. The secretary was adamant that he was not going to put them in a situation where their privacy was intruded. They were seated in a section of the plane that was ahead of the rear section where Matt and I were seated, and in between the 2 sections are 2 restrooms, and they have 2 heavy curtains right there, and so they closed the curtains, and they actually reconfigured them so they were sort of on a diagonal.
I just want to say this is a special night.
I can't stress enough how much Secretary Pompeo cared about protecting them from any intrusions on their privacy. I asked him when he came back what his first words were to them, and he said, "Oh, I welcome them home, even though they're not home." I said, "Welcome home." Another source told me when they got on the plane, one of the men had tears in his eyes and said, "Thank you, God bless America."